Welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your host, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. We are moving on to this, championship weekend. In the NFL, the divisional round has been settled, and there are only 4 teams left standing. But before we dive into that, there are some new coaches that have been hired in the NFL that's worth talking about. First off, Frank Reich is the new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. What are your thoughts?
A little bit of a surprise. Not a surprise after it's developed, but I thought maybe he would be taking a year off or one of those type deals. Maybe do the Doug Peterson route, take a year off, come back to head coaching, but right back into it. I also thought that Steve Wilkes, their interim head coach last season, this season, but they didn't make playoffs, showed enough to where he could potentially be their head coach. And he also, it kind of seems like he's gotten left out to dry
Shafted.
on two coaching jobs, 2 head coach opportunities now.
But you see, his attorney already made a statement.
Oh, really?
Saying that they're shocked and disgusted by the Panthers' decision.
I mean, I wouldn't be. I think Frank Reich is a good coach, but if as a Panthers fan, and what have you done for me lately, I wouldn't be too thrilled with him. You were pretty down on him, right, Taylor, as like a head coach?
I think he's a good offensive mind in this league. I wouldn't say he's great. My biggest negative with him is I felt he lost the Colts locker room. And for me, we've talked in the past, I've evolved, I guess, as what I look for in coaches. I think leadership is a big importance, and losing a locker room is a big no-no for me. And I would have been much happier had they announced. I mean, I know the ownership has no control over this. Had I got out of work today and saw Steve Wilkes is going to remain as the head coach, and Frank Reich is coming on board as a offensive coordinator or something, I would have been like, oh, sweet. But I was a little disappointed. I thought Steve Wilkes earned a shot, and he is kind of like with what was the Saints head coach, Dennis Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love Dennis Allen, but I think he fits the head coach role pretty well. I think Steve Wilkes kind of fits that as well. Like he can steer the ship, keep you afloat.
Yep. I mean, we see it with guys like Cliff Kingsbury. Like, they're supposed to be this great offensive mind, but maybe not cut out to be a head coach, a leader of men, I guess. Not even a leader of college students, really.
But would you say it's his last shot at the head coaching position?
Right?
For Frank?
Yes.
Just because he's a little seasoned, a little old. I know head coaches, I don't actually know how old he is off the top of my
61.
head. 61. So, I mean, there's been older coaches out there. But like if the Panthers have like 2 losing seasons with him, I would be shocked if they don't fire him. Like, they played well enough at the end of last year to have a little bit reason, and they have enough talent to have a little bit of reason for hope this next season to at least be competitive, especially that division looks like it's garbage. And at least it was this season. So I don't know. Maybe they want to bring him in and I don't know, Sam Darnold or whatever quarterback they end up having. Since he's a quarterback guru with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's my thought process. I was like, I have a feeling ownership was like, we need to potentially draft a franchise quarterback this year or try to find one. And Reich might be. Emma's playing Fortnite.
Man.
Another
and
one.
Reich might be the guy to, help them develop that potential franchise changing prospect. I do think this is a miss as a coaching hire, though.
Yeah.
One thing I will add on to this particular hire is that from what I was seeing today, is that was like Eagles offensive coordinator. I always forget how to pronounce his name. I don't know if it's Steichen or Steichen, but Shane Steichen, whatever it is. I should know that as an Eagles fan. I guess that was like the main opportunity for him, and since that's gone, it sounds like he's going to come back, which I'm happy about. So,
yeah. And then
tidbit, yeah.
In other news, well, there's actually a couple. One just came to my head, but the main one, Daniel Hackett is going to the Jets.
Nathaniel Hackett?
Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, he doesn't even deserve to get his name right. Nathaniel Hackett is going to the Jets as their offensive coordinator.
I don't know what Robert Saleh is thinking.
Did Robert Saleh have his pick?
Well, they fired.
You should.
They fired LaFleur after everyone thought he would be similar to his brother, but they realized without Aaron Rodgers, the offense isn't the same. I don't know. Here's my biggest gripe: when Hackett was the Broncos coach, they were carried by a top defense, and the offense, like even a mediocre offense, they would have probably potentially made the playoffs. But their offense was like bottom of the league with all the weapons they had. And if you think, I don't know what the Jets are going to do, if they're going to try and, I don't know, bring in a free agent or pick either White or Wilson as one more run. I mean, the defense is ready to win now. The offense we got to figure out. But my thing is, if I don't know. If you couldn't get the Broncos to work and you're an offensive guy, how are you going to get the Jets to work?
We're pretty sure we talked about it in the offseason when the Broncos hired him. I'm pretty sure we talked about it, how like that's a good that seems prime for Aaron Rodgers to head that way.
Yeah. The Jets?
Did we talked something, huh?
Going to the Jets?
No. Last offseason when Nathaniel Hackett went to the Broncos and Aaron Rodgers was like, they were talked about possibly him being traded or something like that. They got
Russell Wilson instead, yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about that. And we talked about Nathaniel Hackett's career. I honestly don't remember what our opinions were before the season, but we talked about this. I mean, he was for the offensive coordinator for the Bills. They didn't have a good offense. He was offensive coordinator for Jacksonville when they had Bortles and Leonard Fournette. That wasn't a great offense. Then he was with the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers had arguably his best season ever, but he's also
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, to me it was like, what? Shoot, the coach. He was on the Jets. The coach that had the bug eyes and he had his opening interview press conference.
Oh, Gase.
Yes, Adam Gase.
Yeah, he was Dolphins coach too.
Yeah, he was the Broncos. I think he was the Broncos offensive coordinator when they had Peyton Manning, and he got all that hype. And everyone's like, oh. And I was like, it's the same thing. You were carried by a legendary quarterback, and as soon as you were separated from him, you're nothing.
Offensive poop.
Yeah, he was the offensive assistant coach for San Francisco, and then he was the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos for Peyton Manning's 2013 season. And then he was with Chicago Bears, Dolphins, and then Jets. Little Adam Gase history there.
But yeah, I don't
have a lot of hope for Nathaniel Hackett overall, though. You got after a season like this year. I know there's other things like Russell Wilson just wasn't that good either, but like now you got to reprove yourself.
But here's the other thing: once they got rid of him, the offense looked improved the last 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, that could have been a motivational thing, like we were talking about with Frank Reich. Like he probably lost the locker room at that point. I'm pretty sure at a certain point, players came to the defense of Russell Wilson. I don't hear anybody talk about Nathaniel Hackett.
I mean, look at
him.
So the Broncos' offense all year, they're pretty much. I mean, they were struggling to score 16 points, and then they fired Hackett, and they end the year scoring 28, 24, 14, 24, 28. And that's after getting rid of him. I know what his selling point was when he was looking for new jobs. He's like, yes, I failed as a head coach, but I know how to run an offense. I just think when you fail that bad, you need to go down another level. You need to drop to quarterback coach or pass game coordinator. Now, I would not bring you on board right away after that disaster as my offensive coordinator, especially with Saleh. This might be his last chance. You're hitching your wagon to the wrong horse.
You said Saleh's last chance?
Yeah.
I feel like he bought himself at least another year because.
Well, yeah, next year,
he's head coach.
Next year is if they struggle next year.
But if their defense is really good again, and
and then if you're the owner or the GM, you say, "Thanks for building this great defense. Hit the road. We're going to bring in an offensive guy to try and get us to the next level."
That's true. He doesn't call defensive plays for them, does he?
I'm sure he has input because he was the Niners coordinator before DeMeco Ryans took over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too excited about this as a Jets fan either, getting Hackett. And I'm curious do you think there's any chance they maybe try to trade up for one of those 3 quarterbacks in the top 10? Because they're at 13.
Do they only have one first round pick this year? Do you know?
I think so. Just 13.
It's interesting this year because there is a lot of talent. This isn't the best draft ever, but I don't think any of the quarterbacks are super I don't think any of the quarterbacks anyone's really going, "Oh, this guy's a number 1 overall pick."
I would trade all of King Midas's silver to get rid of Zach Wilson.
Well, they're not going to get rid of him, but they're probably not going to start him. But
you can get rid of him by trading to get. You could trade him and some pick. I don't know.
I wouldn't. I think he ruins your draft, your trade quality. Throwing him in there.
The bar goes down.
The bar goes down in Madden.
Yeah.
You just went from yellow
to red.
You're
this close, and you're like, okay, just give him Zach Wilson, and that's it. And it goes down to red.
Exactly. Give him 3 first-round picks. Nope, sorry.
Yeah. And the last coaching hire we can talk about, I mean, you guys can throw in another one if you have one. Bill O'Brien to the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him.
I mean, I guess they said Matt Patricia was the de facto offensive coordinator last year.
The Crimson Chin himself.
I don't know about Matt Patricia. That's a good one. But the Patriots offense was just a mess last year. On one of the sports talk shows today, they were talking about there's a conspiracy of Bill Belichick is trying to ruin the Patriots. So when he retires, maybe next year, they're just so bad that the other coach doesn't have a chance to win there, so he can stay as the king of New England.
I saw that report. I didn't read about it, but I mean, look at Bill. I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, there's a Patriots, a New England beat reporter has said I think they said it was from Mac Jones that that the offense was a mess, and half the time the players didn't even know what was going on.
I mean, yeah, Mac Jones had a couple of outbursts this season. Like, I don't remember what he was saying. Like, what are we doing?
It's my career on the line.
Well, it's because Zappy got put in the game and lit it up.
Yeah.
And they were playing 2 quarterbacks at one point. What the hell?
Bill O'Brien's been on Alabama the last couple of years.
Yes.
Let me verify. Yeah, 2021. He's been their offensive coordinator. I don't think that carries any weight.
I mean, here's the thing with Bill O'Brien. Here's the thing with Bill O'Brien. People are going to say, well, he's just a really bad team manager, but he's going to run an offense. What did the Texans do, really, until Deshaun Watson came around and was way better than anyone thought he was going to be? And also, Bill O'Brien's early career, the AFC South was terrible. Their competition was the Colts with a busted-up Andrew Luck. And then the Jags had one good year, and the Titans were on the rebuild. And the Texans, until they got Deshaun Watson, had a great defense. But I guess, hey, go home, let Papa Belichick take care of you and help you get another job.
It's just funny because it'd be like, yeah, hire him, make sure he stays away from all trade negotiations and talks. He's not allowed in the facility while this is going on.
Mm-hmm. Chip Kelly-esque with those Texans moves.
On draft day, you see the report. There's been a trade, and it's like the New England Patriots are trading, and then you go to the Patriots war room, and everyone's like, "What's happening?" And you see Bill O'Brien on the phone in the corner.
Cut the camera!
Cut the line! Cut the line!
Pulls out the
Yeah, I was thinking of the SpongeBob episode where everybody's running around throwing
SpongeBob's
papers
head.
out. It's
SpongeBob's
on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut it down! Yeah. Shut it down!
It's not working.
Yeah. We can just gloss over this because we went over some of the big announcements from this week, I believe. Is there any other people, because there's still going to be coaching vacancies, is there any up-and-coming coaches that you guys think should get a shot this year or maybe next year?
Well, Steve Wilkes will probably get a shot, at least being a coordinator somewhere, because they didn't allow him to, he's not going to be on Frank Reich's staff, which means he goes from getting promoted to interim coach to jobless.
That's how it goes.
What head coach jobs are still available this year? Arizona,
Denver,
yeah.
What was your question? Was it head coaches or teams?
Is there any under the radar coaches that you think would potentially be a spot to get a head coaching job this year or maybe next year? Is there anyone you're keep an eye on?
Well,
maybe not even a head coaching job, just a move up.
The Texans should hire D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
I don't know how he'll be as a head coach. He's a relatively new head coach, but 49ers defense is good, and he's an ex-player. He's probably a player's coach. He's probably hard-nosed too. Shane Steichen on the Eagles. It sounds like he's going to come back next year, and if we have another year like we did this year, I don't know how he wouldn't be a head coach at that point.
Yeah.
He got interviews last year, got interviews this year. Apparently he didn't. I don't know if I believe the reports now, because apparently since the Panthers went with Frank Reich, what happened, and did they just have were they dead set on him? Because apparently the interview with Shane Steichen didn't go well. But I don't know.
Did you see apparently for the Colts, Jeff Saturday made it to the finalist round for head coaches?
They have thousands of fan signatures protesting whatever what the term is, to not have him be the head coach.
I wouldn't want him as head coach. Just
They didn't look good.
he.
If he could get some good coordinators around him and, like, be a good leader, but
The thing is, it's really hard to get good coordinators because the turnaround for coaching positions are so high in the league. Like, no one wants to wait and develop people, so you gotta get someone that hopefully has a bunch of friends, basically, or people that they're close with to come on board. Like, the Shanahan tree is like so big that McDaniel, he pulled a bunch of people from the Niners when he got hired, or same thing with LaFleur.
I don't remember if it was an
They're all
article.
former Washington coaches too.
Well, I don't remember if it was an article or somebody on TV was saying it, but they were talking about coaching trees, and they were talking about Nick Sirianni and his coordinators now, and then they kept going back, and they're like, so Nick Sirianni's Frank Reich off of Frank Reich, so it's Frank Reich's coaching tree, but Frank Reich's from Doug Peterson, but Doug Peterson from Andy Reid, but Andy Reid's from Mike Holmgren, but Mike Holmgren's from, and they kept going back, so they're like, it's this guy's coaching tree, which is pretty funny. I was thinking about Kellen Moore's been a hot name. I feel like that wouldn't go well. He doesn't look like a head coach to me, which is kind of rude to say, but I'm not a big fan of head coaches coordinating. And it seems like usually offensive coordinators turn head coaches still call the plays. But like Nick Sirianni with the Eagles gave it up halfway last year. He was like, I'm just not good at it. And it turned out to be he's a good head coach, but not calling plays at the same time. Mike McDaniel, I don't even think calls the plays during the Dolphins game, and he's a great offensive mind.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen from some of the mic'd up, he puts an input like, I want to run the ball here, or we should try this here. But yeah, I don't think he calls a lot of plays.
I think that's a great. Yeah, if they put if you want to spend a lot of the week focusing on that side of the ball, I understand it. As a head coach, keeping tabs on defense too, but having input at least to the game plan because you were hired for a reason. But during game day, there's so much that goes into it. Like we trashed Josh McDaniels for it. It just, I don't know. Like Kellen Moore's so young too, but who knows?
Speaking of Cowboys, was Dan Quinn said he was going to stay with the Cowboys?
Yep.
Do you think Jerry Jones is going to pull what he did with Garrett, keep Dan Quinn on the staff, so if they have issues next year, he can just kick out McCarthy and be like, all right, Dan Quinn, your team now.
So your team now, yeah.
Because he did that with the old Cowboys coach. Who was his name?
Jason Garrett. Right.
No.
Parcells?
No.
That one guy.
In between. Defensive guy.
Old fella.
Yeah, he was, because he ended up being the defensive coordinator with the Texans.
What's his name?
Wayne?
Don't bother me.
Is it Wayne? No.
Phillips. Wade Phillips.
Well,
Wade Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, because they had Jason Garrett, and then he was like, bye, Wade. Jason comes in. Jason Garrett's a weirdo. I'm a big fan of that guy.
Well, Jerry Jones seems pretty confident in McCarthy still for now.
Well, actually, let's just get to the games because I don't want to get too far off track. You guys fine with that?
Yep.
All right. So the first game from this divisional round, Saturday, Jaguars at the Chiefs. The Chiefs came out on top 27-20. It was Kansas City was favored by 9.5, so Jaguars did score kind of late to cover. I think we all said that Chiefs win, but Jags cover, if I remember correctly. So hey, that's one for the no interference betting if you actually follow us, and I hope you don't for your sake. It was a interesting game. Mahomes had a little injury scare, but I felt like the Chiefs were just always in control.
The game was lost for the Jaguars when Patrick Mahomes got injured and they had Chad Henne on the 2-yard line.
And
98
dropped
yards.
They dropped the pick, and they gave up like a 3rd down, 2 third downs, and then they just started driving down the field after that, and then they scored a touchdown. Like, after that, I was like, you wasted your best opportunity. Like, it's done. And it was for the rest of the game. They still had a chance at the end, but not really. Well, let's see.
Yeah, if you look at the numbers, Trevor Lawrence, 24 of 39 for 217 and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He didn't play awful. You that one deep cross he had to Christian Kirk, you really hope that gets completed. It would have been a game changer. It wasn't really an overthrow. He led his receiver, and it was.
I think Kirk kind of extending for the ball lost his footing, which I don't know if he could have not extended for the ball, but that's a tough play to say. You got to hit that one because he still hit him in the hands.
It's 50-50. He put it past the defense where only his receiver could get it. It's game of inches, but not terrible. Especially going up against the vaunted Chiefs team. Patrick Mahomes, while hobbled, goes 22 of 30, 195, 2 touchdowns, both to Travis Kelce. And then Chad Henne comes in relief while they're working on Mahomes' ankle. He goes 5 of 7, 23 yards, gets a touchdown, 114 quarterback rating. Just does what he does, keeps the team afloat. Which brings up my little tidbit that I brought up on Saturday. We've seen twice now Mahomes get injured in the playoffs, and Chad Henne come in and look really good, make plays that potentially win them the game-winning plays. Does that in any way take away from Mahomes' greatness, or is it just Chad Henne's a solid quarterback and he's been on the team in a while on the Andy Reid offense?
Yeah, it's just a solid backup.
You can't discredit you could only discredit Mahomes if Chad Henne started for a year under Andy Reid, through 20 plus touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, had a great season, Chiefs still won, and Patrick Mahomes went somewhere else and didn't play well. But I don't think you can discredit him just for a couple of drives where Henne plays well, situational football.
All right,
Andy Reid just has his guys ready. Does he benefit from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes? Yes, but I would,
All right.
It's good. It's
just
good try.
Stirring the pot a little bit. If you look at the rushing yards,
I don't know who you think you are, buddy.
If you look at the rushing yards, the Chiefs pretty much rode the combination of Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon. McKinnon was largely ineffective, only 2.3 yards a carry, whereas Pacheco was able to churn out 12 for 95, almost 8 carries a pop, and he had that long third of 39, which set up their touchdown. Surprisingly enough, and I know it's a 7-point game, but it really wasn't quite that close. But if you look at the Jags, JaMychal Hasty, 4 for 36. That's 9 a carry. And then Travis Etienne. God, it's the first syllable always gets to you. Etienne.
Sounds like a goddamn Pokemon gym.
Travis Etienne, 10 for 62, averaging over 6 yards a carry. The Jags as a team only ran the ball 19 times. And that's including 3 from Trevor Lawrence. I feel like if they could have stuck to the run, it maybe would have helped them move the ball better and also keep the Chiefs offense off the field. That's always been a good measure of success against this team, unless you are Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Well, sorry, were you gonna?
No, go ahead.
Well, it was the top of the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. It was 17-20, and the Jacksonville just scored. The next drive for the Chiefs, they didn't have a single third down. They didn't get the third down. They just set first down, second down, first down, second down. They ended up scoring on that drive with 7 minutes left, so they're up by 10. Next drive, Jacksonville gets all the way to the 9-yard line, 1st and 9, and then that's the Jamal Agnew fumble where he caught it, turned, and I guess he was preparing to get hit, and he was squeezing the ball real hard because it just popped out without anybody hitting him. And then I think they force a punt, and then Trevor Lawrence throws a pick, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So I mean, it didn't feel close it felt like the Chiefs were in control most of the game, but the Jaguars had chances. That 1st and 9 fumble, the overthrow to Christian Kirk, the interception at the end of the game, the Chad Henne 99-yard drive, which the play that should have been a pick, I don't remember who it was that had it in his hands and then dropped it. If he hadn't have done that, I think it was a linebacker, but whoever the DB was on that play was going to take that to the house because he was coming downhill to cross the receiver's face, and the linebacker came kind of from like underneath.
I think my biggest wag of the finger to the Jags is the fact that you had a week to prepare for this game, and you let Travis Kelce on 17 targets get 14 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I know the Jaguars defense isn't elite, but they have a first-round pick at linebacker. Granted, he's a rookie, but first-round pick. And then, God, I don't want to pronounce his name. Foyesade Aluakun, who, he's a tackling machine. I know he's not known for his coverage, but
in Atlanta.
But you just I get it. Kelce, I think, only averaged 6 yards a catch, but 14 catches at 6 a pop, that's first downs, that's churning out yardage. If you look at the Chiefs, at any decent defense, you say, I want to take away your best thing. That's Travis Kelce. And I know Travis Kelce has lit up plenty of teams this year and throughout his career, but it just seemed like the Jags' defensive plan was just keep him in front of you and tackle him. But he just seemed like he was always open.
I don't know if it's a mixture of Andy Reid's play calling, Patrick Mahomes being able to throw anywhere on the field, and Travis Kelce. I mentioned it during the game. There's just one play that he always scores on where I don't know if it's a design. I have to watch tape, but I don't know if it's a designed rollout or what, or if it's a broken plays and they're just really good at it. But usually Mahomes is rolling out, and then Kelce just kind of stops or turns on a little hitch, and Mahomes throws it back to him. He catches it in stride and turns the opposite of where all the defenders go, and he scores. So
I hate that play.
They call it backyard football style. It's not planned usually.
Yeah, great players.
That's what they say.
But hey, I think this was a good season for the Jaguars. They shouldn't be disappointed.
Doug Peterson might get Coach of the Year.
He might have stole it right from Nick Sirianni. But
Nick Sirianni didn't even get nominated.
Oh, well, you're right. But
doesn't make sense.
The league hates the Eagles.
Another day, another story, I guess.
But anywho, it was an interesting game. It kind of died down in the second half, but let's go to the bigger game, the Saturday Night Football.
Eagles Saturday Night Massacre?
Giants at Eagles, the third time these teams meet. And if you don't know by now, the Eagles won 38-7. Basically settling all the naysayers and all the lack of a better word, idiots that were hyping up the Giants going into this game. But this is all you need to know. Daniel Jones, 15 of 27, 135 yards, 1 interception, a long of 19, 5 sacks.
Rough night. Long night for Daniel Jones and company.
Yeah, I went on a little bit of tangent last week when we were making our predictions for this game. And like you just said, everyone was talking up the Giants all week, and that this was the game primed for the biggest upset, or highest probability of upset. And then now all I'm hearing this week is how garbage the Giants are
Flip the
because we
script.
crushed them. Are they a good team or are they a bad team? Or are the Eagles just a good team? Like, I mean, we were saying the Giants aren't that great anyways. So, like, you guys picked, I'm pretty sure you both picked a blowout more than I did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think any of us were surprised. I'm surprised it was that much of a beatdown, but I wasn't going to be surprised if they won by 10 plus. I mean, we destroyed them earlier in the season. Jalen Hurts looked healthy. We said that. I think we said that on the pod. If Jalen Hurts comes out and looks healthy on the first drive, you know how the game's going to be. And he threw that second play of the game. He threw the 40-yard pass to Devontae Smith right in the bucket. And then near the end of the drive, he had a designed run, and he went right at the defenders. He kind of he avoided. He didn't avoid contact. He like made a football move to make the defender miss, but then kind of like went into the next defender and got like three guys take him down. He popped right back up and then threw a touchdown to Goddard on the next play. And that was all she wrote.
Yeah, let's just look at the team numbers. The Eagles possessed the ball for over 10 minutes more. They ran 17 more offensive plays, had almost 200 more yards of offense. Didn't turn the ball over. They rushed the ball 44 times for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns. They had 26 first downs to the Giants' 13. Were 10 of 14 on third down. Meanwhile, the Giants were 5 of 13. And defensively, they were all over the ball. They defended 6 passes, got the 1 interception, and sacked Daniel Jones 5 times for a loss of 26 yards. And there was just constant pressure all game.
Perfect game script for the Eagles. This is why I like it when they defer a lot, but I've said it in the past. I like it when they get the ball first because their offense is good enough to score first. Don't let the offense have any chance of momentum. When is an offense at its like what is it, the first 15 scripted plays?
Give or take.
Yeah, so like why give an offense the opposing offense a chance to get any momentum? Instead, take the ball. Obviously, if you win the coin toss or whatever, if they defer, it seems like most teams defer, but take it, score quick. That's usually, that'll demoralize the team a little bit, make you panic just a little bit, especially if it's easy. And then you can start going after the quarterback once you start building the lead. And I mean, I think it was the Giants' first drive after we scored. They went for it on like 4th and 6.
They're in like complete no man's land, went for it, and
we sacked. I think they didn't call it a sack on the field, but I think they ended up calling it a sack during the TV timeout. But that's how it went the rest of the game. We scored a touchdown, then we sacked Daniel Jones. Scored a touchdown, sacked Daniel Jones, and it was a Nick Sirianni game. He was going wild. He got Boston Scott to score. Jalen Hurts was running the ball. Yeah.
And
Brian Dable looked frustrated on the sideline the whole game.
I think
Kenneth Gainwell got his first 100-yard game, and he got a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I think as good as the Giants coaching staff did this year, and they do deserve the credit, they're completely outcoached. And I think the Eagles did try to get Hurts back in a little bit of a groove coming off the injury and then having a week off. And Hurts didn't play bad, but this wasn't his best game ever. And like as big of a blowout as it is, I think it could have been even a bigger blowout. Hurts
I
overthrew
think
AJ Brown by like a foot in the end zone.
that was the end of the game.
Well, yeah, that's another touchdown. And I think the Eagles, if they wanted to, they threw the ball 24 times. I think they could have ran for way more yards had they wanted to. I did want to highlight the Dallas Goedert touchdown. I think they had Gainwell in the backfield. It was on the right. It was Goddard and what's your like fourth receiver? Pascal.
Yeah,
It was Goddard in the slot, split
he
out
kind
the
of took
slot.
over the third job. He outsnapped Watkins, I think, for the first time this season.
Just give Watkins, his few bombs to stretch the field and keep safeties off you. That's all he needs to do. But it was Goddard was split out kind of in the slot, and Pascal was a little bit outside him on the numbers. And they have Gainwell split out far to the right, and you see the middle linebacker just completely leave the middle of the field, showing it's probably man covered, and then Goddard goes underneath, Pascal goes a little drag over top, get a little natural rub route. Goddard gets, a little bit of spacing, makes a great one-handed catch, and then does what he does best, which is run people over and fight for extra yards. He ends up in the end zone. I wouldn't be shocked with the Eagles O-line, see that play, hopefully they continue in the playoffs, see that play later. Because if you're going to have your middle linebacker evacuate the field and the Eagles get a double team block and a kick out block and just have Hurts just do a QB run up the middle, that's literally probably a 15-yard run 7 times out of 10.
Yeah, one of my favorite plays of the game was like it was right before Boston Scott scored, and it's like the perfect like play. Like if you want to be like, this is why it's hard to stop the Eagles. This is the play, and it was just one of those read option RPOs, and pretty much the entire middle of the line opened up. There was nobody there but the middle linebacker. Jalen Hurts made his read. The middle linebacker was just concrete feet to the floor. It was like frozen. Hurts set, and then Goddard was coming across the middle, and he threw it. And the defender had no, like what are you going to do in that position?
Nope.
It forces you to defend the quarterback on run plays, which I've been hearing everybody talk about this week, playing 11 on 11. And it just creates such a mismatch. And people always say Hurts is, it's like it's because of his legs. He's such a weapon. And I think Hurts can be it's weird because his legs make the offense run, but he's also so good at passing. It makes it even it's his passing ability and his ability to run but pass is why the offense is so hard to defend. Because if he couldn't pass, it wouldn't be that hard to defend.
Yeah, and I don't want to stick on this game too long because it was a blowout and it's what we as a show expected. But I do have to highlight this earlier this week after the game's events. Chris Sims comes out. He gets asked, "What if the quarterbacks swap places?" And he was like, "Oh, I think it would be the same outcome." And he was like, "And I think it would have been even like a bigger win for the Eagles." Goes on to say, and he was like, "I think Daniel Jones is as good a runner as Hurts, but a way better passer." And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like,
he was just in his feelings.
And I get it. The Eagles do have a great team around Hurts, but throughout the season, the difference from last year to this year for Hurts is he made a huge leap. He on sideline throws downfield. He's consistently dropping the ball right in the breadbasket to his receivers, and he shows very little hesitation. He's making those RPO reads, pulling the ball, firing it to whichever receiver is open. I think it's just foolish to say that Daniel Jones is a better player. Like in trying to pull the Giants just aren't good enough yet. That's just a cop out.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones, we all know he's fast. That's it. He's fast, but he's not elusive from what I've watched him play because I'm an Eagles fan. He doesn't seem elusive. He kind of seems clumsy, and he's kind of a statue in the pocket. Um, like and he doesn't seem cool, like quick, twitchy. He's just fast. Like if he can get like a straight line, there's my target. He can run really fast. Also, I said it all the time, and I'll leave it after this, but I can't say it enough of how like accurate Jalen Hurts is. Like I don't want to sound biased, but I've watched every single one of his throws. I said this to you guys, and it just and I never feel like when he throws the ball, it's not going to hit the receivers at least in the hands. Like it's not a chance for the receiver to catch it. I never feel like it's going to be intercepted or it's going to be a bad throw. And I've never seen that as an Eagles fan. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones doesn't do that.
Moving on to Sunday games, the early game, Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. This is probably the letdown game of the week, to be honest. This was the game I was most looking forward to. The Bengals go into Buffalo in bad weather, and they beat the Bills 27-10. Just looking at the quick numbers, Bengals possessed the ball 33 minutes to 26 minutes. They outgained the Bills by about 100 yards. Had no turnovers. They were 6 of 10 on third down compared to the Bills 4 of 12. They had 30 first downs. Yeah, this was kind of a disappointing game for the Buffalo Bills. Real quick, I did want the Bengals to win so I could see a Chiefs-Bengals rematch in the AFC Championship. But I think we said last week on predictions, I said I think the Bengals are better, but I feel like the Bills will pull it out, and it was quite.
Yeah, we did say that. I wouldn't be surprised.
The Bengals were better, and the Bills
dominating the other one. Going up like that, it was just surprising to me that the Bengals were able to do it in Buffalo in their weather, and the Bills. Josh Allen just didn't look good. It was a bad game all around. I think Stephon Diggs got too much flack for how he acted after the game. I'd be pissed too, especially with how much hype you guys had around your team, how much talent you have on that team. And Josh Allen again in the playoffs comes up short.
Yeah, I think it's tough to judge a player on being frustrated after, what is this, third straight year losing in the divisional round. I don't know if that's correct or not. I think it is.
No, I think they went to the championship 2 years ago.
Did they?
Lost to the Chiefs, right? Yeah.
I think they lost in the championship, then last year divisional, this year divisional.
Yeah, the weather. I love the snow because that's just, I don't know, just like watching playoff football and the snow is it just seems right. But I'm not surprised the Bengals didn't have an issue with it. I mean, Cincinnati, it's not sunshine and 75 all year there.
It's
it's cold, windy.
It's a brisk wind.
The stats don't really show it in the passing because they both. Josh Allen actually had more yards passing. Joe Burrow had the 2 touchdowns compared to Josh Allen 0, but they also had the same amount of yards per attempt. But Joe Burrow looked way better than Josh Allen, and that was mostly due to, which was the most surprising part of the game, was the Bengals' offensive and defensive line dominating compared to the Bills. Joe Mixon had 105 yards on 20 carries. Burrow had 31 yards. Perrine had 33 yards on 7 carries, so they just dominated the line of scrimmage all game. And Joe Burrow made some great throws in the snow. And like you said, RJ, Josh Allen he didn't look comfortable. He had those bloody elbows and just wasn't there.
Yeah, Josh Allen was getting pressured all game, and for the fact that the Bengals have a banged up O-line, the Bills were not able to create much pressure at all. I know they got one sack by Matt Milano. I don't know. I can't remember if it was a scramble or a blitz he came free on. But other than that, like Burrow, he seemed like he had all day. And like you said, the Bengals. I like the Bengals D line, especially with DJ Reader in there. He changes the vibe for that D line, and Hendrickson coming off the edge is very underrated. But I was just so surprised that the Bengals were pass protection. I wasn't super worried about because the Bills without Von Miller have no pass rush like the second half of the year. But the Bengals were just able to run the ball and churn out yards without much pushback at all. And then if you look at the Bills with passing numbers, like you said, if you look at the yards and the completions and yards per attempt, it's not much different. But if you look at the receiving, Dawson Knox led the Bills 5 for 65, and then it's Devin Singletary 5 for 38. But you go to Stephon Diggs, 10 targets for 4 yards, 4 catches for 35 yards. Gabe Davis, 4 targets for 2 catches and 34 yards. And besides the 2 like longish passes to their rookie Khalil Shakur, the Bills just weren't able to get much of any explosive plays. And once the Bengals got the lead, I think they kind of just put the clamps on the Bills offense. Like they were just like, we're gonna make you work for every yard, and the Bills don't really do that. That's not their identity.
Fair.
They need. I like Gabe Davis a lot, but he's more of like a boom or bust receiver. They need to get a more consistent second option, in my opinion, with Stephon. Wow, I just completely forgot his name.
Diggs.
Yeah, I was gonna say who's Stephon Gills?
Stephon Gilmore.
Gilmore. I was getting the names mixed up because I
got my name in there.
Stephon. Yeah, I was like, why did I got Stephon? My name?
I do like their rookie receiver, Khalil Shakur. I think he could be good. He's small, twitchy, explosive receiver in the slot. I think the Bills' biggest issue, and it's been the issue their entire Josh Allen career under McDermott, the O-line's questionable. They like every year they're like we're gonna try to fix the O-line, but it's not. It's like they never go all out. They're like we're gonna try this one move, but we're not gonna actually rebuild it. And like get like a legit runner. Like Singletary's not a scrub, but when the Bills need rushing yards, they go to Josh Allen. Like get some offensive linemen through the draft or spend some money in free agency and bring in like just bring in another bruiser. Like don't use your franchise quarterback as your bruising running back. Like I don't know.
That's fair.
I mean, look at they could have got Damian Pierce in the draft and they didn't.
Yeah, no, they for sure need bruiser running back, just a running back, a workhorse running back. Not even a workhorse. Like if you can get a rotation guy, but somebody who, Joe Mixon. I don't know, and then
Breece Hall.
Yeah, somebody. Just go steal somebody's running back. He's ours now.
They tried to say J.D. McKissick, but they couldn't do that.
Yeah, and then second receiver I think would be nice. Just a little more consistency. You don't have to rely on Diggs all the time. And I like Dawson Knox, but he's not really the focal point of their offense. I feel like they could utilize tight ends in the middle of the field a little bit more.
I think Dawson Knox is like a super poor man's Kelsey to like because I feel like a ton of Dawson Knox yardage is when Josh Allen is running around and he is like the one guy that like, makes a few moves to get open off the like non-scripted plays. But
It just
I don't
never
know.
seems like they make things easy for Josh Allen. Like the offense is so, it's just so much him making plays. Like I never see them doing. I don't watch a ton of Buffalo Bills games. I just watch them when they're on TV. But it just seems like it's never like, I don't know, like a tight end screen. Let's run the ball. Like if it's going well, let's run the ball down the middle 3 times in a row. For a whole drive or whatever. Not like you said, Josh Allen shouldn't have to be their power back and their deep threat throwing the ball over the field.
Yeah.
But the most annoying part of that game, other than it not being a good game, was that crumb rubber all over the place. How do you have that field in that kind of weather? Because it looked bad, and like, how do you get any traction with your cleats playing on that stuff in the snow? Like, they were saying, I heard when I tuned into the game, they were saying Buffalo Bills players weren't able to kind of do what they usually do. I'm like, that's your fault then.
Well, I mean, it's funny that the Bills are a kind of explosive air out offense. And then when you get to like a crappy weather game like this in the playoffs, it like, kind of hurts you. Like, don't you think the Bills like are perfectly built to be a dome team right now? Like,
for sure.
Like they need to go to like New Orleans or something. I'm not going to hold this year against the Bills. I think Josh Allen regressed a little bit in his path to trying to do more. And they did have tons of injuries, especially on the defensive side. But you don't want to end up like trying to think of something close like you don't want him to be like the new Phillip Rivers. Like how the AFC is so stacked with Burrow, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence is on the up and coming. Herbert's there.
Herbert.
You don't want
Lamar
him to be like Rivers, where they have regular season success, but get to the playoffs and they just can't do it. And
No, I'm pretty sure he's made it to the playoffs more than Phillip Rivers already.
Or like previous
Phillip Rivers went to the
Bills
playoffs
teams who've made it to the Super Bowl 4 times just to lose 4 times in a row.
Got to get to one first.
Maybe the Bills are the cursed team.
Phillip Rivers' playoff record was 5-7.
Hey, what's Josh Allen's playoff record?
4-4.
So he's a couple first round exits.
He could be
in the same path.
Yeah, I know, but Phillip Rivers like made the playoffs like once in his like last 8 seasons.
Chargers are gonna Charger.
Yep, Chargers charging.
All right. Well, let's go to the last game of the divisional round.
Best game of the freaking weekend.
The Dallas Cowboys go to the San Francisco 49ers, and the Niners come out on top 19-12. It was an interesting game to say the least. I think Brock Purdy didn't have his best game of the year, but Dak Prescott definitely did not have his best game. Just looking at the quarterback numbers real quick, and then you guys can have at it. Dak Prescott, 23 of 37, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 real dagger interceptions. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29 for 200 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So, what do you guys think?
The Niners defense did their job. Didn't definitely help that Dak played like crap, but still they made plays, came up. And then good old Trent Williams shutting down Micah Parsons. Called that last week. He had 15 pass rush attempts with 1 pressure against Trent Williams.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to Dak Prescott. I mean, that helps, obviously, if you're really your main great offensive lineman shuts down their defender, their best defender, who's this great talent. But Dak Prescott made some ill-advised throws that resulted in turnovers, and Brock Purdy didn't. And I was trying to find the stats, but I couldn't. I saw them throughout the week. Brock Purdy's yards, like, I think it's like a crazy amount of his total yards comes after the catch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
After he throws it.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I'm not holding that against him because that's Kyle Shanahan and his playmakers around him, and he humbly admitted that himself. I don't remember if it was recently or a few weeks ago, saying it's not hard for him because he doesn't do most of the work. He just gets the ball into their hands and he gets to watch them go and make plays, which was the case this game and has been the case most of the games since he started. So as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, the 49ers are good enough to, make things happen. That's pretty much what they've done with Jimmy Garoppolo the last few years. And
He's going to be a game manager.
Yeah, Trey Lance didn't count because he didn't play that much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's done what he's needed to do. Dak Prescott was the better quarterback in that matchup, and he didn't play like it. And the Cowboys did what the Cowboys do, and that's all I got to say. And the last play was probably the greatest moment of my life.
Well, let's pause on that real quick. I think as soon as Pollard got hurt, you knew the Cowboys were doomed. As soon as he went out,
that was rough.
And then the rest of the game, CeeDee Lamb got his. But this is the problem with the Cowboys. From 20 to 20, they do a pretty good job of spreading the defense out to get CeeDee Lamb isolated. He's a good receiver, and Dak has a decent connection with him. But Dak's interceptions were horrendous. His first one, he basically stared down the receiver and threw the ball straight to the corner. They were running a little comeback route, and the corner was, I think the corner was sitting in a zone there.
All he had to do was jump up a little bit to catch it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was, I want to say it was like a cover 3 look or something, maybe man, and the corner sat on it. As soon as the receiver turned around, the corner jumped it. That's a throwaway ball right there. Instead, Dak is like, here you go. Second interception, CeeDee Lamb basically double covered. Dak tries to fire it in there. There's contact.
He didn't see the coverage at all because he thought he was one-on-one with Fred
Warner. Yeah. He saw Fred Warner and the cover.
Kinlaw or somebody else was there. They just collided and ended up in Warner's hands.
Yeah.
And then the other play, before we go to the final play, but on the first
play,
I
think you're about to say, it's the most egregious throw, even though it wasn't a turnover.
Well, no, I wasn't. I was going to talk about the almost sack safety.
No, we'll talk about that one, then I'll talk about mine.
Okay, the Cowboys get the ball back, last drive, last chance to tie the game. They're on they're inside their own 5. Dak runs out of the pocket. There's a defender right there. I think it was first down. Any other sane quarterback just throws the ball away right there. Dak literally takes the game-ending sack safety. Somehow the defender doesn't bring him down. He spins out of it, and I think he throws an incompletion or something. But that was just even though it didn't end in a safety, it's nearly as bad. And
so I think that was their second last drive, right?
I think it was their last drive.
Well, it was their second to last drive, which they're down 12-19 at this point. They only need a touchdown, and Michael Gallup ran right by his defender.
Yes,
and all he had to do was throw it down the middle of the field. Just throw it down the middle of the field, and he threw it back shoulder and Gallup had to come back for it, and the defender was right there to break up the pass. Like, how much money does he make? $200 million. Like, you got to be able to make that pass in that situation.
You just reminded me of another bad play. Remember the play down the seam where Dak tried to hit CeeDee Lamb and Fred Warner just had him clamped up?
Yeah, the whole time, yeah.
That was a double, they had two seam routes, and on the left side, Michael Gallup kind of ran the seam, and it was a cover 2, and Fred Warner was the deep middle taking CeeDee Lamb. So Michael Gallup breaks wide open, would have been a nice gain, does not even look his way. Literally, just focus on CeeDee the entire play.
Yeah, a few people were saying like that was a bad throw, but I thought Fred Warner played pretty good coverage defense on that one.
Oh yeah, I thought Fred Warner had him locked up. My biggest issue was that Michael Gallup it's cover 2. Fred Warner is all over CeeDee Lamb, and they called the play they called, one of them on cover 2 are going to get open. The middle linebacker can't cover both of them, and you're not waiting. You're not supposed to wait till they get to the safeties. So he looks off Fred Warner, which is what happened basically. Well, not looks off Fred Warner, but gets Fred Warner to bite to the right, and then looks to the left. Bam, Michael Gallup, it's a 15-yard gain. Instead, he doesn't even see him, and he forces it for an incompletion. But
Dak's had a weird year.
And then next year is when his contract starts. He's the second or the third highest cap hit starting next year. So the Cowboys are going to be strapped. Yeah. So I guess we can just go to championship weekend this coming weekend.
It's time.
Both games are on Sunday. The early game, 3:00. We have the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Currently, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. I think this is a good game. I'll just say what I've been saying. I like both these rosters, but I'll take Jalen Hurts over Purdy.
Same.
Yeah, it seems to be the common point this week that both teams are pretty stacked, talented rosters all over the place. But Jalen Hurts is better than Purdy. I think it's a little bit more than that. Because I think Hurts is a little bit more important than Purdy is, if that makes sense. But I think Purdy doesn't have to have a good game. I think Hurts has to have a good game. But then, I don't know. I take that back, actually, because if Purdy doesn't have Purdy might need a good game to beat the Eagles. I take that back. Because I don't think he can do what he did against the Cowboys and beat us. Because I don't think it's going to be a low scoring. I think the Eagles are going to be able to put up over 20 points on the 49ers. And I think the 49ers are going to have a tough time unless Purdy has a really good game getting over, I don't know.
I think this is going to be a good game. The more I've wrapped my mind around it, the more I find myself thinking about I'm more so thinking about Kyle Shanahan's scheme than I'm thinking about the Niners' talent. And more often than not, I'll take talent over coaching any day. Not that the Niners aren't talented, because it's a great roster, but O-lines, they're both good O-lines. Eagles is better. Receiving core as a whole, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle.
A.J. Brown, better than Debo. Devontae Smith's better than Ayuk. Dallas Goedert, I think, is on Kittle's level.
Well, I was gonna say a draw.
No.
Running backs. Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey, but the combination of Gainwell and Miles Sanders is not to be dismissed. go on the defensive side, I think the Niners probably it's the linebackers advantage Niners, but everything else is advantage Eagles. Eagles safeties, Eagles corners, Eagles D line, and give me a rookie quarterback, 7th round pick, starting his 8th game in the NFC Championship against the Eagles D line. I'm not saying that 49ers don't stand a chance, but I'm putting my money on the Eagles. If the Niners somehow come out top, I'll tip my hat to them. But I think I've been saying for 2 weeks now, I think Purdy's gonna, finally show that he's a 7th round pick, and this might be it.
Yeah, I think last week both of you guys said he was going to have his disastrous game. He's definitely not going to win out unless he wins the Super Bowl. But I don't think it'll be the same as last week. I don't think he'll have a disastrous game, but I don't think he'll be as productive as he has been in the previous few weeks, where he's getting touchdowns and all that. I'm sure he could throw the ball around a little bit, get the ball in the hands of his playmakers, but those playmakers will probably get shut down.
And honestly, as much as we've kind of hated on Gannon, if the Eagles offense does what we think it is, Gannon's kind of soft defense might be the perfect thing to do, because you're not letting the Niners scheme beat you. You're letting your players just sit back, read, and react, and you're making Purdy make the right throw every time. So this might be a game that Gannon can do his thing, play his little soft shell and hide behind the D-line, and that way you don't have to worry about Kittle busting coverage or Christian McCaffrey getting open on a wheel route. Everything's going to be in front of you. It's not that simple, but it also kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the biggest keys for the Eagles' defense is, I think you're right about that. I think the 2 biggest keys is that they need to tackle well this game in the middle of the field, which 2 things gives me a little bit of confidence. CJ Gardner-Johnson's been back for a few weeks and he's been playing well. Vontae Maddox might be back this week. It's very important. And Reed Blankenship has played well since taking over for when CJ Gardner-Johnson got injured. So that's even another little piece you can throw in there to help with the middle of the field. But very important game for TJ Edwards, Kaiser White on George Kittle, Vontae Maddox, CJ Gardner-Johnson. That combination needs to play really well, and the tackling needs to be on fire. Really, the X factor of the game to me is the Linc. I don't even want to know how loud it's going to be. And Deebo Samuel saying the 49ers stadium is just as loud as the Linc.
Yeah,
you're
that.
Wrong. I've never once.
No cursings. You're wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
Mama Sass is right.
Also, yeah. I'll say this:
a regular season game against any team, if it's a good game, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are wild and rabid, and they're gonna be nasty to him on Sunday. I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not proud of what the Eagles fans do all the time, but they're gonna be nasty.
Because they're all nasty. Bunch of nasty.
I think if I had a wild card X factor, it's I don't want to be the team playing AJ Brown after a bad week.
That's another one.
Because he's not the type of receiver to have back-to-back bad games. And even if all he does is pop off for one big play, that might be all it needs. I usually keep my predictions kind of safe. This isn't a crazy prediction. I do think it's going to be roughly 26-17 Eagles.
I was going to say 26-20. Always get our same similar scores. But I think the 49ers X factor is going to be Yafunga. He needs to make plays. Joey Bosa.
He's their second sack leader, right? Oh, no, he's a safety. You're talking about the safety.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get their names mixed up. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I want my score to be. I think you both made good points. If AJ Brown has a good game, they're in trouble. Because, if there is one thing to attack with the 49ers. It's the, going deep. I think they were like bottom 10 in the league in defending the deep ball. I'm going to go 20 for 16.
Not bad. Well, we'll see what happens. Moving on to the Sunday night game, 6:30 kickoff. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bengals.
Chiefs, it's actually
It's an even spread right now.
even spread, which I think is fair. This is a tough game for me because I guess I should have learned my lesson from last week. I like the Bengals team better, but you know how hard it is to beat Andy Reid 4 times in a row? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
But
Do we think that's really going to happen?
The Chiefs' weakness is the Cincinnati Bengals. They kind
I
of
get
know
what
what
you're
they're
saying,
doing.
but this game, and sorry if I'm like getting in the middle of a different point, but like a high ankle sprain is not to be messed around with. And if he's not,
He wasn't even limping when he walked off the podium at practice earlier this week.
Well, yeah, Andy Reid came out and said that he's fine and he put his career on the line.
Andy Reid, why wouldn't he put his career on the line? He already won a Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. But I think Patrick Mahomes on a weak ankle can beat most of the league, not the Bengals.
That's fair. And my other thought process was with why I'm leaning Chiefs is because I think in the last 3 Chiefs losses to the Bengals have kind of taken over in the fourth quarter. And I think 2 of the 3 losses were basically straight up Chiefs collapses. And I just feel like even if Mahomes is hobbled, the Bengals are going to get theirs. But I think at this point, the Chiefs have had to have looked at the Bengals defense and figured out the weakness. And I don't know. I'm just putting my money with Andy Reid. I have faith.
Yeah, I'm going Bengals. I think their D-line has been playing very well, and they will give Patrick Mahomes a lot of reasons to try to use that ankle that may not be high ankle sprain, but it's still probably sore. And I think it's going to be a rough time.
The Chiefs have a pass rush. They were 3rd in the league in sacks. And the Bengals showed in back-to-back games that you can slow this offense down. I said the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens showed in back-to-back games that you can slow the Bengals down.
Well, the Bills didn't.
The Bills' defense is in shambles. They're missing. Tre'Davious White's still not back to being full go. Micah Hyde was out. Von Miller was out. Jordan Poyer is playing banged up.
Well, we see it all the time. One team figures one team out, another team can't. I mean, the Chiefs haven't been able to figure out the Bengals. As you said, they've lost 4 times in a row.
3.
3. Sooner before.
Yeah. I'm not discounting the Chiefs by any means. Andy Reid, I think, is the best coach in the league and arguably one of the best coaches of all time. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Their offensive line is I think the best pass blocking offensive line in the league this year. So the Bengals' improved pass rush is going to have their hands full. If they can't get their pass rush going, then they're screwed. But if they can continue that success and get to Patrick Mahomes, I like the chances. I think it's going to be... I'm always bad at these predictions, score-wise. I always think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it never is. But I think Joe Burrow is also kind of on a roll right now. And I know you don't like his... Is it you?
I like Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow...
No, it's Taylor. My wife, Taylor. She hates Joe Burrow. And she hates his cockiness and stuff.
Swag.
Yeah, but I think that's going to play into his favor. He knows he can beat him. He's already beat him.
Did you
Beat
see
him
that
in the same game last year.
Bengals fans are calling it Arrowhead Stadium instead of Arrowhead?
Yeah, I saw that. It's just the classic, it's Joe Burrow versus Mahomes, and I'm never gonna say I'm gonna lean towards the Bengals, but I'm not gonna be surprised if the Chiefs win. Andy Reid will be Andy Reid, and I would love to see the Eagles go up against the Chiefs and Andy Reid.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's my prediction going into the playoffs. But I think it's going to be Chiefs 30, Bengals 23. The Chiefs hold off the Bengals final drive bid to tie the game.
I'm going Bengals 35, Chiefs 28.
Mm.
Jamar Chase can't be stopped 1-on-1. All you got to just throw out the ball.
I'm going to go 27-24 Bengals. Field goal to win it on a Joe Burrow drive.
All right, fair enough.
Go Bengals.
So that does it for championship weekend. Good matchups. Like both games, I think, are going to be must watch for any sports fans.
I don't think you could have asked for this is probably the best 4 teams in the NFL this year.
You can definitely say it's the 2 best teams in the NFC and the 2 best teams in the AFC, which is, I guess, what everyone wants. Anything else you guys wanted to discuss on the show today?
No, I'm super amped up for this.
You can't contain his excitement
this weekend. Yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
All right, well that does it. That does it for the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. As usual, we appreciate you watching or giving us a listen. If you enjoyed this episode, which is actually episode 42, I think. 42. Give us a like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. If you aren't already, follow us on social media. We're on 43, Pod 43. If you aren't already, follow us on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at The NI Show. And you can listen to you can watch all of our episodes on YouTube or listen to us on Spotify. And just once again, we appreciate all the listeners out there. So that'll do it. Adios.
See you later.
Peace.